This will be the second time we've covered Geeks and Gamers. And I'm going to be honest, I'm excited for this one. Not because I'm excited to cover Geeks and Gamers specifically, but because I'm excited for the He-Man reboot, because it looks awesome. I did not grow up with the original He-Man, but I did grow up with a version of it that aired on Toonami that was super engaging, and I really liked it. So I can't wait to see this new version that's being worked on. That I'm very excited. And apparently Geeks and Gamers is here to talk about it as well. So this is going to be fun as heck. But before we get into any of that, let's go ahead and get to the fan art section. We have a piece that has been done by Blue Feather. I need to throw it up here for just a second. There we go. Also, thank you very much for the 100 bits, Zalrock, Arrow Pride. And then, after this piece that was done by Blue Feather, we have a piece that was done by Rose, where apparently I am eating Nerd's Rope. Now, for those who don't know, I made a joke on Twitter a few days ago where I said, if God is all-powerful, can he shoot Nerd's Rope cummy-wummies? Because you would expect an all-powerful God to be able to do that. That should be well within his powers. So apparently this is the divine splooge that I am currently imbibing. This is your NSFW fan art for the day. And then finally, we have a Pop-Tart Nyan Cat. All Nyan Cats are Pop-Tarts. And this was done by Blue Cat Shadow. As always, everyone, thank you very much for the fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown, then toss it into the Discord server. Links are in the description. If you're watching this live, you can hit !Discord, and that'll give you a link to the Discord server as well. With that said, let's talk about He-Man a la Geeks and Gamers.
What's up, Geeks and Gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking about He-Man, Netflix, Kevin Smith, and how it's potentially going down The Last of Us Part 2 road, and that's not a good place. The Last of Us Part 2, one of the great disappointments in video game history, the Last Jedi of video games, where they wanted to make you believe that the beloved character of Joel would be featured in the game, prominently featured. They used misleading marketing to make people believe that, but ultimately the good old bait and switch happened, and a lot of people are wondering if that's what's going to happen with He-Man.
Wait, was that the disappointment about Last of Us? Because I remember a whole bunch of people that were, like, just super pissed that one of the female characters had a more masculine body. That was, like, the thing they were super upset about. I don't remember much controversy about Joel not featuring in this prominently. Maybe I'm just not clued in to, like, all things Sony, but I don't know. Let's continue. Apparently, we have some other issues that might come up with He-Man.
Now, the trailer for Masters of the Universe Revelation came out, and it looks pretty awesome. The animation is incredible. The character designs are amazing. The voice acting is on point. Mark Hamill as Skeletor is incredible. The action, the energy. The music was a little strange, but it still worked. Overall, the trailer was great, and it's being overwhelmingly positively received.
Okay, then what's the fucking problem?
Rightfully so, if that's all you're seeing. But there's a lot more to this that a lot of people are concerned about. Now, I was into He-Man a little bit growing up. I had a few of the action figures, and I watched the show. I watched the live-action movie. I was never into He-Man as much as I was into G.I. Joe or Silverhawks or Transformers or Thundercats, but I still was aware of it, and I watched it. So seeing this is really cool. There's a lot of cool moments, and it's just, there's a lot of nostalgia built into that. And I'm also a Kevin Smith fan, at least an old school Kevin Smith fan.
Okay, so there's a lot of posturing happening here. There's a lot of, like, contextualizing the type of person you are, which I feel, this feels very much like when somebody's like, when somebody's trying to argue that, like, they're coming from a place of love when they bring a criticism here. I want to know what the criticism is. I'm happy that you're a He-Man fan, at least in some variety. It looks like your exposure is about kind of what mine was. I grew up with a show. I thought it was engaging. I did not happen to grow up with the same one that you did, apparently. But let's go ahead and see how long it takes to get to the point.
How could I ever not be a fan of the guy that gave us Clerks 1 and 2 and Chasing Amy and Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Dogma and just so many great films that I love so much. And so, obviously, in recent years, Kevin Smith is kind of cringe. He cries at everything. You can't take any of his opinions seriously.
Wait, what Kevin Smith stuff are you talking about? Maybe this is just something where I'm not, like, super clued into media.
It's all fine and dandy. But the trailer itself, as it's presented, looks really good. But there are concerns. And it's why I tweeted, Neil Druckmann is looking forward to Kevin Smith's He-Man. That's right. And why? Well, so this was on Cosmic Book News. I believe this was last month. Kevin Smith's He-Man is woke, possibly confirmed. Kevin Smith's He-Man Netflix animated series may indeed be woke, possibly confirming earlier rumors and speculation.
Can these people actually define woke to me? This happens all the fucking time, but they're just like, it's woke, it's woke, it's woke, it's woke. Can you maybe give an accurate description of what that is? Like a definition that we can use? Because I don't know if I should or shouldn't fucking care if you just throw this amorphous blob of a term at me.
Last year, saw it rumored that He-Man would be replaced by Teela in the new Kevin Smith animated series coming to Netflix this summer, which wouldn't be a surprise at all, and would fit with Hollywood's agenda of replacing male characters. So why not replace the manliest of all? Not to mention He-Man is blonde.
Not to mention he's blonde. Oh my god, this fucking talking point. This fucking talking point where, like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Ubermensch gets taken out and suddenly people get fucking angry. It is very hard for me to not call someone a Nazi whenever they make this point. This point always gets to me. It's not that it upsets me for any of the dumbasses that come into the comment section going, oh my god, you're a triggered snowflake. Like, no, this is just one of those things that, like, I hear this, and my brain immediately goes, why does it matter that he's blonde? Does it matter because there's some idealized idea of a blonde guy? And if so, where did you get it from? Where are you pulling that from? Moreover, which characters... So, in Ghostbusters, the characters getting replaced by female characters, that was a little strange. But, like, in Star Wars has always had prominent female characters. Making one a protagonist isn't a replacement. You're continuing a story, and anybody who's been clued into Star Wars for any amount of time knows that there's a variety of stories in the extended universe that have prominently featured or protagonisted several female characters. So I don't see how this is seen as like some dark Hollywood agenda. You can have characters of other genders be protagonists in long-running franchises.
While previously Kevin Smith seemed to have refuted and shot down the rumors by stating his series is all about He-Man, that remains to be seen as an action figure for the series has hit the net that potentially may offer otherwise, in addition to some recent first look images.
Wait, hold on. So the creator of the show has said that the show is all about He-Man. And then an action figure for the series is leaked, and that apparently is going to inform us that the show is going to be different? How does a randomly leaked action figure change that narrative?
And then they kind of get into spoiler territory, but that was about a month ago when that was posted. And then Stephen Wayne posted this. Netflix released an updated official synopsis of Masters of the Universe Revelation today, and it confirms Teela will indeed become the main character. The War for Eternity culminates in Masters of the Universe Revelation, an innovative and action-packed animated series that picks up where the iconic characters left off for decades. After a cataclysmic battle between He-Man and Skeletor, Eternia is fractured and the Guardians of Grayskull are scattered. And after decades of secrets tore them apart, it's up to Teela to reunite the broken band of heroes and solve the mystery of the missing Sword of Power in a race against time to restore Eternia and prevent the end of the universe.
Okay, so that still seems like all of those characters, like Man-at-Arms, He-Man, etc., are still going to be, like, very much the plot focus. There is a character who's going to operate as a plot device to try to bring them all back together, but it's secrets that are held between those other characters. A war that is held between those other characters that causes them to fracture. That doesn't feel very much like a bait and switch to me. Moreover, if the story is told in a standard A and B style story, so Teela was one of the protagonists even in the fucking crazy movie that's about He-Man's sword. So like if this story is told in a standard A and B story fashion, then you can have just as much focus on Teela as you can have on literally any other character, including He-Man himself. There can be more than one main character. They didn't even say that the main character gets switched. Just say it's up to Teela to change this one important thing. She can be a protagonist. She can be one of them, and He-Man be the other protagonist. This A and B story thing was also handled in the Netflix adaptation of The Witcher. If you guys watched that, where the A and B stories even happen in different timelines. It didn't change the fact that Geralt was the main character of the story. It's got his namesake. It runs through the narrative that courses through his veins. But at the end of the day, there were multiple other people prominent. I could even be a dick and point out that, like, the story of Sonic the Hedgehog games used to do this, where, like, if you look at the narrative thoroughfare through all of the adventure games, at least after Adventure 2, Heroes, and then finally ending on Shadow the Hedgehog, it's Sonic's series, but the story was Shadow's, and it was constantly his up until the time that, like, 06 ended. That's when all the narrative around Shadow finally collapsed and stopped. This idea of having other people take up a secondary protagonist role is not news. A and B stories happen.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, again, in isolation, and again, these are the things that never get clipped when I say this. In isolation, I don't have a problem with a female character rising to prominence. I have no problem with that in isolation.
Then why do you bitch about it so much?
What I have a problem with is that we continue to see this happen in Hollywood over and over and over again. It's constant. This is all they do. It's pandering after pandering after pandering. And like I said, the last time we saw an...
Wait, so is this... Hold on, Jeremy. I know you made this point about, like, this isn't the part that's going to get clipped. You just unironically pulled an I'm not racist, but... I'm not racist, but... That's what you just did. Like, I'm not claiming you're racist here. I'm saying that the argument flow is identical. I don't care about this, but allow me to bitch about it for 5 minutes.
An iconic male character prominently featured in the marketing to pull the audience in, it turned out to be this right here. That's right, The Last of Us Part 2, and that's what this seems to be. This seems to be more of the same.
So how is... I got a question, honestly. How is it pandering to just have a female lead? By that argument, it is pandering to have a male lead. If it's not pandering to have a male lead, then necessarily you're arguing that having a male lead is normal and having a female lead is abnormal. I don't give a shit about the I don't care about a female lead part you threw in the beginning. I really don't, because this just feels like an I'm not racist but conversation.
In isolation, there's no problem. But when you look at the bigger issues within Hollywood, that's where the frustration falls into place. Now, again, this is all still speculation,
So you're literally bitching about a specter now. Okay.
We don't know exactly what's going to happen, and time will tell. Again, judging it simply on the trailer itself, I thought it looked incredible. I really did. I would love to see G.I. Joe brought to life from that perspective with that type of animation, but I already know what would happen if G.I. Joe was brought back to life. We're already seeing it on the big screen and what they're doing with Snake Eyes. So, with Hollywood, I don't have any faith, period, in Hollywood. Yes, there are things here that I like, things there that I like.
Yeah,
There's
I like this whole Sunset457. Thank you very much for the follow. I like this, and by like, I'm being very sarcastic, but I like this whole, I have no faith in Hollywood. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't have faith in Hollywood, but I feel like maybe you should look at an individual director or the studio handling this or what have you. Bitching about Hollywood as like a giant, amorphous, monstrous entity feels really weird. It's like saying, I don't like YouTubers. Well, what kind of YouTubers? What about YouTubers? What thing caused you not to like them? Specifics help here. When you use these like really broad categories, one, it creates hasty generalization fallacies, blah blah blah, that's a problem. But two, people get to insert their own narratives into your story. You don't like Hollywood, well, someone else cannot like Hollywood. Some very, very hyper feminist over here could hate Hollywood because of the normalized misogyny in 90s and early 2000s and way farther back media. Like, anybody can make something that big, that broad, that over-encompassing their enemy, and then be disappointed with them when it's like that. I need to know who specifically you're criticizing, who specifically you have issues with in Hollywood. You mentioned Kevin Smith, and I guess one of your issues is that he cries? I guess that's cringe to you? People experiencing a perfectly normal human emotion is cringe to you?
Cobra Kai. There's maybe a movie here, a movie there. That's fine. But I have no faith in anything Hollywood produces. They have affected me so in such a negative way with the way that they treat properties. I don't have faith in anything they're going to do because all of them are caught up in the nonsense. All of them are more concerned with preaching instead of telling good stories. And this is why a lot of people are concerned about this with Kevin Smith.
Okay. So I do get that, like, some media can be a little can be preachy. I get that. Usually, if you have like an environmentalist message and you throw it off like super ham-fistedly, it can happen. But again, this seems to be an issue where you should criticize individual people who do these things, not, or even systems. Criticize a system, but an entire entity like Hollywood, that feels really strange. It feels kind of weird. Like, this is something that is easier to do with, say, politicians, like politics. I can criticize America, the entity, because we, as the entity, throw armies at places that they don't need to be in. We, as an entity, as a country, end up engaging in behaviors that affect people all the time. Hollywood is not the same category of entity. It's not the same type of thing. There are individual studios within Hollywood that fall in these categories. So, keep the criticisms maybe to Kevin Smith, I guess? Like, I guess that's the best way to put this. Just bitching about Hollywood, you can find 1,000 people to come up to their defense and 1,000 people to rally against them because they've all got different reasons for it.
And I think that they're justified in having those concerns. Ultimately, we're going to see how this all plays out. But no property, even Cobra Kai, is not above me having concerns. Even me, who loves Christopher Nolan, who it's hard to believe Christopher Nolan would ever go down the identity politics rabbit hole. And I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying that I don't have full faith to say he won't. Because Hollywood is such a effed up place full of effed up people. It just really is. The entertainment industry as a whole has been affected by this stuff. And so the
The entertainment industry as a whole is affected by the cultural zeitgeist and cultural norms. Yes. This is literally what happens. The entertainment industry is meant to appeal to markets. These markets shift constantly. Currently, there are markets for people who are more clued in to some of the problems in society, are more concerned with problems that exist in society, are less concerned with standard good versus evil, like giant kaiju battle stuff, and are more concerned, at least in some cases, with seeing stories that tell them something about the real world they live in, that reflect the world they live in. Markets for this kind of stuff exists. Because those markets exist, the entertainment industry, which, like anything that is affected by markets, is going to adapt to that or be swallowed whole. This is not a Hollywood problem, Jeremy. This is a problem of how markets function.
Fans, the same fans that you called toxic and racist and sexist, are the same fans you're pandering to pull that audience in, just so you can then use the bait and switch. And then when those fans get mad because you used misleading marketing to pull them in, you then call them names even more because they're angry because you lied.
Wait, hold on. Hollywood called them names, or individuals in Hollywood called them names? There's a difference here. Also, I feel like maybe he's getting angry because, for those who don't know, Zack Snyder ran this dude through the mud, and I think this is some of the soreness from that still seeping through. Honestly, I feel like that's what's happening here. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. But in reality, Hollywood as an entity does not call people names. People within Hollywood do. The argument that Hollywood called people names after pandering to those people doesn't follow, because Hollywood as an entity could not do those things.
When you get held accountable for your actions, you then try to flip it around onto the audience. And that's what people are tired of. They're tired of you blaming the audience for your bad decisions, for your bad storytelling.
Which bad decisions and bad storytelling? Because from the stuff you've brought up, Last of Us Part 2 has been acclaimed for its storytelling, just like the first Last of Us was. I know that you're one of the ones who bitched about She-Ra, and She-Ra has been critically acclaimed for its storytelling. Plenty of the things that you're upset about get a lot of praise for their storytelling. With the exception of the Ghostbusters reboot.
We've seen this way too many times. And that is why so many fans across the board are done with this type of stuff. It's why I've been playing more video games and watching more anime.
Wait. You do know that, the same forces that affect video games affect Hollywood, right? You also know that when it comes to video games, one of your arguments was about Last of Us. Why the random virtue signal here? I've been abstaining from Hollywood and enjoying more anime and video games because they aren't woke. Despite bringing up something you considered woke, just 10 minutes ago.
And it's not to say that video games are completely, not affected, because video games are affected.
Okay, at least you did address that. Good.
Too. It's just not as widespread. And that's why I've been focused on video games, Nintendo, Titanfall 2, Warzone. I even played some Minecraft for the first time the other day. I'll be uploading some of those videos very soon here to the channel. And then watching anime, because it's just good storytelling. And that's all I really care about, is good storytelling. I don't have a problem with female characters. I don't have a problem with non-white characters.
Then why the fuck did you uncritically show an article that did? And not offered any criticism towards the article, just showed it, used it to make your point, and then just continued on from there. Like, what was the point of there? What was the point of that? What's the point of bitching about having media that shows female characters if you're just going to keep hiding behind this, I don't have a problem with female characters in media point?
What I have a problem with is when you can't create new properties and you want to try to change pre-existing properties.
Wait, hold on. Who's changing pre-existing properties? Wait, hold on. No. Jeremy. This is a continuation. Those old stories still exist. This isn't a reboot. This isn't a redoing. This is a continuation of those older stories. Nobody's changing a property here. Those old stories still exist. And those old stories are the foundation, at least in He-Man's case and in Star Wars' case, for the stories you're experiencing now. Nothing got changed there. They progressed. They moved forward, as stories do.
And then those characters that you have then changed, you've given us a badly developed character because you were never interested in actually giving us a good, well-written character. You just wanted to push propaganda, and of course the story is going to suffer for that.
Wait, hold on. Are you still making an argument about a Spectre now? Because which stories are doing this? I'm not denying that they exist, mind you. I know that there are writers who just write Mary Sue characters that don't have a backstory, that aren't well written, that just exist to be the most powerful thing this side of the end, so that they can be like some kind of author self-insert. I get that. I've also read bad fanfic that did the same shit. My question to you, Jeremy, is what media are you going to use as your example here? Because otherwise, this sounds like you're bitching about a hypothetical. And if we're bitching about a hypothetical, then I could bring anything up as a counterpoint. Literally anything. I could pull it right out of my ass.
That's why so many people are tired of this. Just tell good stories. But at this point, Hollywood's hired so many activists at this point, there are no good storytellers left. There's a few, I guess, but the general vibe in Hollywood is that it's all activists that are just there to push their anti-Trump nonsense and their identity politics bullshit.
What? You don't think that there's a market in Hollywood for hyper-nationalists? Okay. Dude, the military literally has a budget for funding Hollywood propaganda films. What? Oh my god. That's a hot take, though. Almost everybody in Hollywood is an activist trying to push an agenda. That's a hot take. I'd love to see some numbers on that.
That's really what it comes down to. Anyway, if you guys enjoy this video, please continue to support us over on geeksandgamers.com, our website. Our premium membership has continued to be successful.
All right, nope, we're not going to listen to his plug, because the roll-on plugs from other content creators is that they get replaced by my plug. If you have not already done so, please go check out ddlgplayground.com. Over there, you can use coupon code Suris so that you can buy something nice to shove in your flaming butthole so you can go fuck yourself. All right, there we go. That's a thing we can do. That's what happens with plugs. They turn into DDLG Playground plugs. 10% off, I get stuff off that too. It's a wonderful win-win. You get to have fun, you get to coom. Great times. Great times for all. Okay, so, with that said, Jeremy, most of what I heard here was you arguing against a Spectre. Now, maybe that Spectre would be a little more manifest if I watched more of your content, but of the 2 times now that I have subjected myself to it, I have been so ridiculously disappointed that I don't have reason to. When you're bitching about media, I want to see examples in the media of what you're criticizing, of why. The only example that you gave during this whole thing was a bait and switch, which is a marketing issue, and then went on to talk about bad storytelling. The bait and switch in The Last of Us Part 2 does not mean that there's suddenly bad storytelling. If you're going to argue about thing A, Keep examples of thing A handy. If you're going to move the argument to thing B or use an argument that is in category B, that means nothing, because bad marketing says nothing about the content of the game or the story itself. Then make the video about the marketing. Bitch about the marketing. I'm fine with that. But don't bitch about bad storytelling and then your examples be about failed marketing attempts. This is like people who hated Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker because they saw the Space World video of Link battling Ganon in the Ocarina of Time style, just next gen, or what we assumed next gen was when the N64 was still like in everybody's household. And then when we got our new Zelda game, it wasn't a game that looked like a graphical upgrade to Ocarina of Time. We got Wind Waker, which was all chibi and cel-shaded, and people just fucking hated it. But guess what? Wind Waker had an amazing story and amazing gameplay. And it was a classic that has outlived the time in which it was released in. And the original still looks better than the HD remake that added a fark ton of bloom and screwed with character shading. Because guess what? The bait and switch that happened, the miscommunications from the marketing department, had nothing to do with the quality of the game that we ended up getting. Just like with The Last of Us 2. So when you bitch about stories, talk about stories. When you bitch about marketing, talk about marketing. Don't bitch about stories and then talk about marketing. This does not create cogent arguments. This does not create enjoyable content. This makes it to where people who are watching your content have to engage in mental gymnastics to figure out how your brain got from point A to point B, because it does not logically follow in and of itself. It is not cogent. With that said, though, if you guys want to support the channel and what I do over and above the DDLG Playground plug, please consider checking the description of the video when it goes live on YouTube. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And follow over on Twitch if you haven't already. Rand the Fool, thank you very much for redeeming an Ara Ara right at the end there. Ara Ara, you fucking monster. And as always, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.